Welcome to the first short and sweet of 2023, where the samples and reviews are short.
And it's really sweet that they shared it with us.
This one is shared with us from Heaven Hill. It is a media sample, but is the first edition of 2023 of the Larceny Barrel Proof. It is A123. A123. There we go. Yay. Yeah, kicking off their 3 release of a year with the B523 and the C923. Got it.
There you go. Now you just have to keep getting it for the rest of the year.
Woof.
125.8 proof.
There it is.
It has a nice balance on the nose of the oak and the sweetness.
Yeah, speaking of that balance, it is 68% corn, 20% of this is wheat, and the signature 12% malted barley of Heaven Hill. Glad to see that they didn't raise the MSRP. Still holding strong at $59.99 suggested retail.
That is nice.
Yeah, I get baked goods going on here.
Right, like that desserty sweetness, but then there's also still some oak, and it lets you know that there's proof on it too.
Yes.
Right? It's not just a sweet treat.
Desserty baked bread, I feel like, with that very sugary
crumbly crust on top.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Now I'm really hungry.
Me too. All right. To your health. Happy 2023. Wow, that's 125.8.
It is.
Ooh, rich with that honey, kind of there in the middle.
Uh-huh. I gotta say, at first sip, you give this to me blind. Ask me if it's a wheater or just say, like, classify the type of American whiskey this is.
Classify the type of American whiskey this is.
I don't know that I'm gonna check the wheated box.
I don't either.
I don't think I'm going to.
Oftentimes, barrel proof wheaters can do that, right? Because that sweetness of the corn is really showing through. But the proof can sort of give you the same feelings as if it was rye spiciness in there, right? Yeah.
Right. It's like you got to draw the line between spice and heat, and where does it fall? Mm-hmm. Let me take another sip.
Yeah, man, good Kentucky hug, but yeah, second sip.
Second sip. Now that I'm paying attention, I noticed that when I take that sip initially, it's all playing on the front of my tongue, which should tell me that it is sweeter and wheated. If you're paying attention.
Yes, and the heat is a different type of activation.
Right, and that is...
I like that.
It is a different type of activation. It comes more
Trademark
back
is Bourbon
here,
Night 2023.
like to the very far back of your tongue, but also like the top of your throat, which I think some people would think, oh, does that mean it's rye? Because rye usually activates the back part of your tongue. Can
sort of tell the difference in the activation, I'm using it, of proof versus rye spices. Like, I don't get any pepper or really clove or anything like that. It's more barrel on the back end and heat from proof, right? So that's how I would be able to tell if I really pay attention to it that this is a wheater and not a rye bourbon. Well, okay, before we get any farther, we want to tell you about whiskyambitions.com. It's our home on the internet where you can get our hats and all of our glassware, all of our t-shirts and bottle cut candles and hoodies and everything else that's coming soon at whiskyambitions.com.
And you can become a patron at patreon.com/itsbourbonnight and join our community for as little as $1 a month. And that is where we put out exciting stuff like information on our barrel picks.
Wow, okay. The short version, I love it. Okay.
It's short and sweet. It's short and sweet, Chad.
Short and sweet.
Yeah, it has a nice mouthfeel. I think the more woodsy, oaky notes build towards the finish, and I personally like that. I mean, that's what I'm getting on the finish, is that oak note, but not too much. And there's still that nice play in there with the malted barley, like the high percent of malted barley that Heaven Hill uses.
Slight nuttiness.
It's just a gentle nuttiness, like almost imperceptible if you weren't thinking about it, but because I am, I'm like, oh, that's, that tells me it's Heaven Hill.
I really like the mouthfeel. I think this is a really good mouthfeel to it, especially for being, we didn't say, it's 6 to 8 years. So 6, that's a good, strong starting point. 6 to 8 combination of that. I really like that honey tea note that I feel like is also helping the mouthfeel, because you picture honey, it's a very slow moving liquid, or not even a liquid. What is it? Substance. So I think that's helping with like the thought perception of the mouthfeel. But yeah, that honey, that rush of honey tea with the finish being more of the oak and the barrel. Good stuff.
I think it goes for me a little bit tannic on the very end of the finish because that oak is dialing up there. So I love the finish, but that last taste that's in my mouth isn't my most favorite part of it. I really like that initial experience and the mouthfeel up front. That's my favorite part of this.
But I would say this is a really good start. We thought Larceny sort of had a bit of a resurgence in 2022. I would say 2023 is off to a great start. Because Sarah, now we got to restart this whole earmarking things for the best of the end of the year. And I think right now, this is a contender. but it's also
early.
The very beginning of January, so we'll see how things shake out. All right, that's where we gotta leave it. If you haven't subscribed to us already, you can do so by clicking right up here. There's suggestions of other videos down here. You can see us over there in one of those. Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Chad.
Okay, until next time, drink more bourbon.